Well, hello there, YouTube. Welcome to a bone-chillingly cold 29 degrees Fahrenheit. Today's December, I don't even know what today is, 17th, I believe it is. It's Tuesday. Yeah, it's the 17th. Yeah, buddy, she's all froze up out here. Old Sparky out there in his collection area. Well there, little woman.
Just a little ma'am.
That was an uneventful ride to work.
Which is good.
And it was mostly nice. Not fully sunshine, but those kind of skies like I was showing you earlier.
So that's good.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. It's considerably warmer here than it was at home.
Yeah, I think it's about 10 degrees warmer.
Oh, I didn't even pay attention. Alrighty.
All right.
Have yourself a wonderful Tuesday.
You too.
Alright.
Throughout the day.
Yeah, I'll be buried in a S1000R today.
Yeah, and tomorrow probably.
Yeah. Part of it.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Love you. See you. Bye. Bye-bye now. Here's gonna be my buddy here for a while. Oh, Victor boy, he flat puts the miles on this thing. It's funny, he's got touring bikes, but he takes all his trips on that. I tell you guys that every time. But here's my a little clamp for doing the forks. It's only one major problem. The head's missing off of it. And I don't see it anywhere in Kurt's area. So somebody upstairs must have kiped it. Probably one of theirs wore out, and who knows. I'm about to go upstairs and find out where that's at, get the parts for it, and start a big service. Oh, look, we even got some Christmas lights out here on the service counter. This one looks like the tail end of something. Yep. Poor Matt. So one of the things you, when you're dealing with motorcycles, is every valve adjustment on most conventional motorcycles, first step is to remove the fuel tank. At least 95% of the time, that tank will be slam full. So you have I happen to know the S1000s will lay flat. But if this tank laid forward or backwards, fuel will leak past the vent in the tank, in the cap, and will slowly drain down the tank. In a couple, 3 hours, it'll go right to metal. So it's crucial that the tank sits upright. But you can see this thing's very steady. Anyway, here we are with I've already taken the ECM and all that stuff out of it, or DME in the BMW world. And this is what they refer to as the secondary injectors. The primary injectors are either in the intake manifold or in the throttle bodies. And these are secondary. This is a thing, I think it was Honda that came out with this thing years ago. But what it does at wide open throttles, it will inject an additional spray of fuel right down the gullet, right down the velocity stacks. Woof! It's pretty cool stuff. But that's old technology now. Remember it one day, it was really cool. But anyway, I have to take the primaries because the airbox is just one great big piece. And it's really fun to get in there. Oh, this is the intake goes through the front like most sport bikes, gets injected in, comes through the cavity, goes in. This is like a funnel, and this is two pieces. This is like an intake funnel. This is the housing that holds the air filter to the airbox, and you can see the filter inside there. BMW has reusable clamps, but it takes a special tool to release and to reinstall those clamps. This is all the harnesses going to the DME or the ECU or the ECM, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, airbox has got to come out. Got to slowly work our way to the valve cover. And then there's some heat shields underneath there as well that need to come out of the way. That sit on top of the valve cover, just keeps heat away from the airbox. You want your intake to be as cool as possible. All right. Oh, and one of the main reasons I started, because I already blew it off, the air compressor was running, so I just went ahead and did it. But you want to make sure there's no dirt anywhere. And like the fuel lines, the couplers, the fuel line that was coming up here underneath the tank, you want to make sure that stuff is all free of picking up any junk as you're blowing that off. Very, very important. You don't blow it off with open pieces around, because the smallest piece of something in the wrong area, bad news. There's one thing I need to make a correction on. The fuel pump sits at the very bottom of this, and there's a series of bolts that hold, I mean, it's a big old pump housing. Well, one of the couplers is about even with the bolts, and it puts pressure on that thing. So you don't want to lay it flat on the ground. So don't do what I was just showing you. You want to put them on something, secure them in some way. This is just an engine stand. So yeah, don't let it sit on the pump, and especially when the tank's full. It's probably not going to hurt anything, but you're really risking it leaving it there. If somebody was to pick it up and set the thing down hard on surface, you don't have a layer of thick blankets down there, that could be ugly. So disregard when you see the tank sitting right on the table. So I showed you guys and talked about blowing everything off. Now, as much as I blew this stuff off, look at the garbage around the injectors. So it looks like it's mainly this one, but see, this is the O-ring sealing all that off, but you can still see the buildup of debris around there. The injector is the tip. I can't get it to focus on that. But anyway, the tip of that is the injector. So I'll very carefully clean these things off and rag them up well, and then before I put the airbox back on, everything will be open from the inside. I'll clean all that out and make sure that all that is perfectly clean. So yeah, be careful with that stuff and lift very slowly. I could see that there's no chunks or anything left in there when I blew it off, so always expect to see something there. You just need to make sure that the tips stay clean and that this is clean when you go back in, and anything that fell inside the airbox is removed. Where the throttle bodies are, it's not going to fall in there, and the plates will be closed. If it did, I'll see it. I'll show you that once I get the airbox off. Very carefully with a nice clean microfiber, clean them all off, and now I'm going to bag them up with another clean microfiber. So let me show you this on a computer screen so it'll make more sense. I pulled this thing up. I know the white balance is locked for inside here, so it's all blue. But you see that number 3 clamp? That's one of those reusable clamps. So it looks, fairly easy. It's sitting right there on the back side of the airbox. Let me show you where this is at. That right there, that shiny thing in the center of the screen, is the clamp that I need to squeeze. You squeeze it with these special pliers and it releases it. But let me pan back and show you where that's at. Look, this is the frame, and it's way back up in there. Now you tell me how you're gonna get them pliers to open up and reach in there. So this is some of BMW's special pliers for dealing with these, and specifically this one is the one that's going to take that out. Well, there's one problem. The pliers go straight, and I got to get up in that corner. They need to be, these are some push pin pliers I use on Spyders and whatnot. They need to be something like this where you can reach in and squeeze, but you cannot use these. You have to use these. So it's pretty tricky to get them in there. So that's that dirty injector. As you can see through it, because it just drops right into that intake, that velocity stack, and then right out the bottom. So when I clean that hole, the airbox is open, I can make sure I get everything. I just want to show you something here. stock air filter. Breathes like a madman. Not expensive to replace. Seals 110%. Now, if you had a rewashable, supposedly high breathing air filter, you would not see throttle bodies that look that clean. You open them up and you just wipe your finger in there and you got grit. And all that grit is going right into the motor. So the primary injectors are in the throttle body, not in the head. So now the next step is to pull the throttle bodies up and out of there. And then you got the evap canister, and then this that shield, which you can't see through. You should be able to see the back of the radiator from there. That's got to come out because that is going across the front of the valve cover that's buried down here. It's really, really, really a tight fit. So now I need to cover these up very well and make sure that they're tight, because I need to blow the heck out of that to get any road debris. Which, look at that, man. It's just a natural act of it going down the road. There's your intake. And that's where that little funnel thing was, and then the air filter, and then the air box. Ram air effect. There's a couple of ways you can deal with this. You can tape up the throttle bodies. What I do is I tightly ball up some just regular old shop towels and shove them in the hole. You don't want to put a lot of pressure down because you got the throttle plate underneath there. You don't want to be messing with that. So just so it ekes into the hole, and then I'll cover that with a microfiber, and I'll keep my hand on it, and then I'll just blast away and get as much of that junk down in that area out. Because I'll need to reach in and release the clamps and lift the throttle bodies out of the way as well. In case you're wondering, that's your fly-by-wire motor on a S1000RR. Pretty wild, huh? My poor kid, he's putting the second set of Rykers together. Well, unfortunately, I stopped here a bit ago. Pull the throttle bodies off, and there looks like a lot of blow-by and carbon buildup on all four cylinders. Here's a couple of pictures, and this is each cylinder going from left to right. This is a carbon buildup. So I'm gonna send off what they call a T-Sera case to BMW. See what they think. I mean, at almost 37,000 miles, this thing, I don't know. That looks, I haven't pulled the valve cover off to inspect, because with that carbon buildup, that could give me an erroneous valve clearance. It could be a fake clearance, in other words. If any of that carbon's in between the seats, it's going to look like loose valve. So, I'm just not going to trust whatever the valve clearance is with it looking like that. So we'll see what BMW says, and we'll go from there. But I won't hear back from them tonight, so I'm gonna call the customer. I'm gonna send off a T-Sera case first, and then I'll call the customer and let him know. Bummer. That's the gray standard, so they know what's going on. Kind of trying to figure out why it's doing what it's doing. But Indian and Brian were working with it today. So I'll talk to you when I'm not around the music here. So if I'm understanding this right, and don't quote me because I'm sure I misunderstood. Brian told me in a hurry. But you know that transfer if you got Harleys and stuff, and the newer Indians do it now. I think they've been doing it since 2019, maybe 18. But they have that heat management thing where it starts shutting the rear cylinder off. Well, the way I understand it, and the bits and pieces I heard, as I understand it from Brian, it's like it's doing that to the front cylinder, but which it only does it on the rear, but it's acting that way, like it's going into that mode. And instead of going in as missing beats, it's just shutting the spark off to the front. So a little bit of head scratching going on. They're talking with engineers, and it'll just be some kind of a flash or something. So kind of weird thing, but again, no big deal. So Kelly had to refill some of her medicine, or pins, you know. And we had all this good stuff to say about Safeway. Over an hour later, they couldn't find her. Oh, it's just too long of a story to even talk about. But she's very upset. Oh, dude, I'm not coming back here again. After all the good service, that was a joke. What a mess, huh?
Oh, do not have patience.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
for that
an
long.
hour.
An hour.
An hour.
When it was called in like 2 weeks ago. Or
Crazy.
a week ago.
Alrighty. Let's head home, Mama.
All right, babe.
Well, hello there, you two. Made it home safe and sound?
Mm-hmm.
8 o'clock. Coming.
I know it.
Man.
I hate it when we get back this late.
Yeah. Yeah, just...
Because you're right back at work.
Yeah, and then, you know, now I get a late start building the vlog, and then that starts that little trend of
Tired.
not catching
Yeah.
up on sleep. It just wipes me out starting late. Because, I mean, usually by 8 o'clock, I'm already starting on the vlog.
Yeah, he's already got it
yeah, so-
uploaded or off
Yeah.
the cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm long ways. I usually have all that done on a normal when we just come straight home, or even a gas stop or whatever. I'm getting along pretty good. By this time, I'm well into starting to build the thing, you know.
Yeah.
And that takes quite a while. Some of them are easier than others. Some of them are complicated. It's just a daily thing.
Yes.
Well, Mama,
Better roll.
I think I need to get in there and start that.
All
Look at
right.
that. Even the dogs quieted down early at night.
Yeah.
They're going, they're too late. It's too late for us to even get all excited.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Same smoke time, same smoke channel. Don't forget to give her a thumbs up, and you guys have a wonderful Wednesday or Thursday.
All right. Thanks for coming, hanging out for a crazy Tech Talk Tuesday.
Yeah. My baby is just
Yeah.
talking.
So I'll let you guys know what I find out from what BMW says about that. It's a little concerning to me. But anyway, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll do some more tech talk.
More tech talk.
All right. Till then,
Till then,
see you in the morning.
you guys take care.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.